Hi, my name is Jessica Couch. I'm a fashion and technology expert. I go to conferences and do research so that you don't have to. And I just attended PI Apparel in New York, which was all about 3D and AI. And I wanted to come back to give you some information. What technology is most important for you, as always? That is what I'm here for, is to help you understand what technologies are best for your business, how they can be implemented, and what to pay attention to. So while I was there, of course, it was a great opportunity. I got to speak on stage about managing 3D implementation. Like, I answered questions from the audience with an amazing panel, by the way, of global leaders and experts. But we just talked about what are some of the problems of implementation? What should we think about some of the new technology tools, virtual try-on? What has kept it from having mass adoption across the organization? How do you troubleshoot? All of those things. So that was a really cool experience. And I also learned a lot sitting on stage with some of my colleagues to hear their thoughts and opinions. But of course, what I wanted to do was walk the show's floor and kind of figure out of all the noise, which companies were doing things that I thought was cool and I thought was helpful based on my own expertise. Okay, so the first person I talked to was from Orange Logic. Now, I really like Orange Logic because they are a digital asset management company, which is like, so what does that do? So let's say you're in a company and you're in charge of the entire collection and all of its digital forms. This company is here to kind of make sure you can manage those assets successfully. Don't let me tell it and butcher it up. I did an interview with Orange Logic, and here's what they said that they did and why I think it's important for you.
Our company is Orange Logic. We're a digital asset management platform. And there's two aspects of our business. You have the technology, which you're just referring to.
Yep.
And then you also have the customer success team, which is equally as important. And that helps with the adoption rate, the change management. Yeah. And over 26 years, we have over a 98% retention because we make technology easy, and then you have the right support teams around it to help those teams adopt. But the main thing when it comes to this show and why we're here, it's around digital product creation, is really to make that successful. You need to have a very strong DAM and a very strong PLM. By connecting the two and then integrating different tools like 3D software tools, like rendering tools, all those digital assets are housed in our platform, but then can be sent out and retrieved back home for a central repository so that people have access to them, they can update them, modify them, approve them, and distribute them elsewhere. So
that's awesome.
Yeah, so we just try to make it easy for design teams. Also, we're heavy on the marketing side. Yeah.
Well, so what type of PLMs do you all connect with? Is it any PLM or is it certain companies?
So we doesn't really matter which the PLM is, or we are built with like an open API framework, so we can connect to any PLM, any software that will help round out like an ecosystem to help to drive value. That makes sense.
And what department do you typically work with? Like,
Typically marketing and digital product creation. So product and marketing.
So basically, digital asset management makes it easier to track your files across collections, years. It can save you time and reduce errors, which is super important. Some companies are using it to organize their seasonal collections, and some companies are using it to share assets easily across with their teams. Next, I did an interview with Humanetics. So back in the day, Humanetics went by a different name. I think it was like Humetrics. Could be wrong. The most important thing about this company is their Size North America body scanning. They took time to scan over 20,000 Americans and classify them by their shapes, sizes, dimensions, and all of these wonderful things so that people could have a better idea on how to properly grade certain groups of the population. I refer to as body shape analysis tools. You can see what different populations look like in their 3D form, as well as figure out how your current size chart against actual body types. So why is this important? If you've ever listened to me preach anything about fashion and technology, you know that size is still the number one issue, right? You know that people don't purchase and then they return due to size and fit issues. And most of the time, this is due to grading and issues with size charts, which could be completely arbitrary. So Humanetics is finding a way to make this better. But again, don't let me tell you, watch this brief interview and tell me what you think.
Melinda Miller.
Awesome. And tell me about your company.
Okay, I work for Humanetics Digital. We are basically a body data information company. We do 3D body scanning. We get millimeter precise body measurements from our scanners. And with that data, we help the fashion industry optimize their size charts. Excellent. Help create 3D avatars and also fit forms for the customer.
How many people has your company scanned, or how many scans does your company have access to?
We did Size North America survey from 2017 to 2019. Yep. We scanned over 20,000 people. With each body scan, we can pull a minimum of 165 measurements. Wow. And if there is a measurement that we didn't pull, we can go back and get it.
Absolutely. And how important is it for brands, even though they're using Gen AI and trend discovery, how important is it for them to understand their size charts and what the actual population body types are like?
It's very important. A lot of companies, first of all, don't know their target market. And the ones that do, what we do is we can put their specific target market into our iSize platform. And from that, we can put the body chart in. So we can show you exactly how your chart fits into your specific target market. It can tell you, is the waist too small or the hips too big? And we can look at it from all of the measurement points. From that, we can help optimize to tell you, hey, maybe if you increased your waist 2 inches, you could hit a much bigger target market.
Which is so important because the amount of returns we have, the amount of dead inventory we have because of fit is still one of the biggest issues. Although the industry is trying to ignore it. And then where are you all located and how can people find you?
We are located in Morrisville, North Carolina. You can look for us on the humaneticsgroup.com website. We also are on LinkedIn under Humanetics.
Now, this company has been around for a long time, getting more and more traction around how important it is to true up your sizing, your grading, and your size charts. It's still very important. Out of all the technology, that's still number one. So if we were thinking about mass customization, you might be thinking that perhaps that's what body shape analysis is good for. But before we even get to mass customizations, just having better sizing all around can help to solve big problems. Our next company is Six Atomic. Now, the founder of Six Atomic, I worked with while he was at Bespokeify, which sold to Zalando. So if you ever saw the Zozo suits, that was Zalando, and they bought Marc's first company. But what I really like about this second company is that it has a new focus to make it easier for grading, pattern making, sizing, all of the things that we just talked about, but actually putting it into practice. Marc specializes in fashion automation technology. So the best thing about his tool, you have modular design libraries. So if you were a new designer, or perhaps you are an established designer and you just want to pull from the libraries that exist and kind of tweak them a little bit, this is a perfect tool for you because it makes it easy to do this. So let's see what Marc has to say.
So I'm Marc. I'm the co-founder and COO of Six Atomic. We're a automation company focused in the apparel space.
Wonderful. And then Marc, tell us a little bit about your background because you had another company and you sold it. What was that company?
Right. Yeah. So when I first entered this industry, I was focused on mass customization. Created a company called Bespokeify, and then we sold Bespokeify to a Japanese e-commerce company. And since then, I wanted to continue on the mission and vision of what we set out to do. So we created Six Atomic with my other co-founder, and now we're doing slightly different things, but hopefully with bigger impact. Sure. So Six Atomic is specifically at this stage, at least, focused on enterprise companies that are looking to make that digital product creation process much more streamlined and efficient. There's sort of this challenge, I guess, today with time to market. There's also challenges with skilled labor and being able to get sort of technical skills like pattern makers, being able to keep up with demand. So what our solution does essentially is it automates all of those traditional roles and this sort of chatbot interface. So it's AI in the large language model sense. You can prompt what you want in terms of the design. It could be an image of what you want. It could be a description or both. And what the system's going to do, it's actually going to generate the patterns, the 3D model, the bill of materials, the bulk marker. So pretty much everything to get to that production stage. Sure, you can find us at sixatomic.com.
It also utilizes AI pattern grading. So consider if you had a good understanding of the population that you're trying to size for, or create sizing charts for or grading standards for. What this tool can do is utilize AI to give you customized grading for said population. So you could kind of combine the last two technologies together. You would have a great operation going. This helps completely with speed to market as well as reducing risk. So for companies who obviously want to move fast but reduce their risk, I think you should consider Marc's tool for end-to-end use. Next, we have Virtu, and I've talked about Virtu before because I thought they were really cool. They were actually founded by a former Target exec. So if you understand the mindset of Target, perhaps not their political affiliation or desire not to be diverse, that we're not talking about that. We're just talking about how they're able to roll out collections and products successfully. You have the brain behind that, creating a tool that makes it easy to do 3D assets like we've been discussing, but also to communicate those assets with your team. So I don't want to waste your time talking about it when we have the founder and one of the team members in this interview. So check it out.
I'm Harini. I'm the product owner of Virtu.
Hi, I'm Alexis Kantor, and I am the co-founder and co-CEO of Virtu. It's an end-to-end AI-enabled cloud-based platform that really focuses on design and development and sourcing. We're everything from concept to go-to-market. And what I think really makes us unique, and Harini can speak to this because of her experience, we were made and created by design folks for design folks. So it looks and feels as intuitive, as creative, as flexible and agile as designers' imagination.
Made for creatives for creatives. I feel like everyone's very worried about technology, and they definitely should not be, because Virtu is here to help you in your process and make sure your creativity is used at the right time, at the right place. And it's really just going to enable it more so and prevent you from doing any grunt work.
What I love is if you're designing today, and you likely know this every day, it's a grind. Right? So instead of being able to think about all the possibilities, you're thinking about what buttons do I need to push, what systems do I need to be in and out of. That stifles every bit of your creativity. We'd rather you have a tool in your hand that is not intimidating, that does not take long to train, and literally lets you play without being scared. And if I think about it from like a leader standpoint, as a business leader, this is not about eliminating somebody or making you unnecessary. This is about investment. If we've got designers creating faster, being more efficient, able to be innovative, even if you then save time and you have people, you then reinvest those people in your business, building new brands, going faster after new markets. It isn't about what you lose, it's about what you gain.
Virtu is so easy to use. The main reason we created this was to reduce clicks, and that's exactly what it does. You can get into the platform and use it without any help. Honestly, you just navigate yourself through it. But if you are a larger brand, I would say 30 to 90 days to onboard your entire team.
What I love though about that is that's an entire team, all categories, but you've given examples in working with designers that within days they can be playing and feel much more confident. It doesn't take an extensive training program. It's
Not
intuitive. It's, you know, we all have phones in our hands. We have other technology. It is as intuitive as picking up your phone.
It really is the beginning to the end of the product creation lifestyle. So if they wanted real world experience and they wanted to do it themselves, they can go in, they can design on the whiteboard, they can use their trend forecasting and figure out exactly what their style is going to be, build out their collection and distribute it in a neatly packaged form.
I love everything about that, and my one build would be, during my time at Target, we worked really closely with a group of schools we called our college consortium. And it was all about making sure that those students had real world experience, and often schools don't have all the funds to bring in every new technology. We at Virtu believe in access and equity, and we are priced right, and we want to get into the educational spaces because we believe if a student has their hands on this, they will be better prepared for being in a corporate design setting, starting their own brand off the start, building with a manufacturer, And we know students and kids are the future. And if we can put this tool in their hands, we are going to be way better off as an industry.
And finally, who I didn't get to interview, but I really wanted to, was Quid, because everyone was telling me, you've got to interview Quid. You absolutely have to. But I got super busy moving around, kind of seeing everything with PI Apparel. The cool thing about PI Apparel is that you kind of get a bird's eye view of where the industry is heading as far as technology. So there were a lot of companies. But what I heard about Quid that I thought was really cool is that they're looking to go after WGSN and replace them with a more modern way of trend prediction. Now, in the past, some of the criticisms about trend prediction and technology is still that it lagged. But what Quid does that differentiates itself is it kind of includes social commentary into its factors about what the next trend is. So it's pulling things from social media. It's pulling from, what people are, what fabrics are people buying the most or companies buying, what shapes, designs, and silhouettes are people leaning towards? What are people talking about? So that it can predict the trends a little more accurately and a little more in line with what the population is wanting. So now all of this was really dope. And what I learned is that obviously the industry is finally embracing 3D design, but not without some of the issues that it carries. And some of those issues are just simply understanding how adoption happens, what tools to adopt, when to utilize 3D, and obviously questions around how expensive is it? Well, to answer that last question, 3D is no longer expensive. The good thing about technology is as it gets more and more widespread, the cost often comes down. So there were so many 3D and AI and Gen AI companies. And so it makes me wonder which company is kind of going to get market share and last the longest. And I think that depends on which companies serve their customers the best and are able to listen to those needs and adopt those changes fast, as well as keep iterating on being useful and integrating into current systems, which could be a lot, but I don't think so. I think you just have to choose the right tools. Overall, it looks like Gen AI is taking off in fashion. I hope that we see more from Gen AI than just utilizing it for design. No, it's not going to replace the designers yet, because you still cannot replace what having a very talented eye for the human body and what humans want. You can't always just generate that. And then we don't have the neural networks that are big enough yet to really replace individuals in our industry. However, the widespread use of generated data could be great, of generating predictive trends could be fantastic, and the use of 3D technology is going to be awesome. Now, to give you a little bit more of an insider scoop, 3D technology has not yet taken off on the consumption side, but if you paid attention, there's a ton of virtual try-ons that are popping up. Of course, there's Doji that got a $15 million investment, as well as Doppel from Google, as well as all of these other virtual try-on apps that are coming out. Now, this is nothing new. Virtual try-on existed 10 years ago when I first got into the industry. And back then, people definitely utilized it for things like, paper dolling your wardrobe, understanding how things might look. And if you remember Polyvore at all, I was a Polyvore girl. Absolutely loved Polyvore. When they went down, I was so sad. I thought we were going to get another version. We absolutely did not. But if you remember Polyvore had a long successful existence because people really liked the concept of virtual try-on. And they weren't even putting those items on bodies. It was just piecing looks together because it's kind of a hobby for some people and it helps people to visualize different outfits, which is great. What I'm curious about is how this will affect people's ability to actually make purchase decisions. So that's something I'm looking into now and wanting to pay attention to, because for the technology I'm interested, and I hate to toot my own horn, what we're building, which hasn't come back out yet because it's so awesome. And I have a co-founder who is technical, and sometimes you cannot rush these type of things. But what we're building, we believe will be the answer to a lot of questions that I have. Either way, fashion technology is here. It's going to change the game. We've got to upskill our employees, and we also have to prepare students. So if your university doesn't have a fashion technology program, you need to call me. If your organization isn't doing cool workshops where you can play and learn, lunch and learn, figure out what's the latest and greatest, and also have tools like digital manuals or GPTs dedicated just to fashion technology, I don't know, maybe give me a call as well. But stay tuned to my content Let me keep you updated. Let me know what you want to learn about next. And don't forget, if you're a retail rebel and looking to get on stage to talk about how you bridge the gap in the customer discovery process, absolutely reach out to me so I can get you in touch, get you on stage, and get you in front of your audience. Thanks so much and be great.